No more sifting through piles of paperwork or spending hours at an office. With Prosperity Tax Service, you can handle your taxes from the comfort of your own home.
Your financial data is in safe hands with us through our secure and user-friendly customer portal at prosperitytax.com. It's your one-stop shop for all things tax-related. Log in anytime, from anywhere, whether it's from your couch or on the go.
We are experienced tax professionals well-versed in handling a variety of tax situations. Receive genuine assistance and competitive pricing from real tax professionals who've seen it all.
We're marking 2 decades as a community-based enterprise here in Waco, Texas. So call us at 254-235-5662 or log on to www.prosperitytax.com. Thanks, guys.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
Holy Jesus. What is that?
It's time to get in the game.
Do you know what time it is?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis.
To me, you are nothing.
Your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Come on, start it up. Let's go.
Catch us Monday through Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Prime Time. I am your host, Jalen Gillis, getting ready to take you through the prime time topics in sports, not just in the Central Texas area, but from all around the nation. I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us here today, here on Wednesday, halfway through the week, trying to stay warm, as apparently we're going to get some type of freeze tomorrow, but I'm not a weatherman, so I'm not going to pretend to try to be one. But hopefully everybody out there is staying warm. Once again, I want to thank you guys for listening in with us today on Centex Magic 94.5, on Infinity Sports Radio Central Texas, and also watching on YouTube, Centex Sports TV on the YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Also, like this stream, share the stream, and hit the bell so you can get notified every day when we go live here, 5 to 7 p.m., weekdays right here on Centex Prime Time. Well, folks, we got a full show today. It's been a fun week up here on the show. We're going to get to talk about this NFL wildcard weekend, as we're just a couple of days away from that. Got to get our final thoughts in on the college football playoffs, as it is starting tomorrow with Notre Dame versus Penn State. Following that will be Ohio State versus Texas on Friday. We'll get a chance to talk about a lot of hot topics that's going on right now. Of course, we're going to find some time to talk about your Dallas Cowboys. We had Rocky Miller on here yesterday. He refers to them as America's team. I'm still just going to call them the Dallas Cowboys. And we'll talk a little bit about the Chiefs and their opportunity to three-peat. So we got a lot to talk about here today on the show. Joining me in studio, got the WISD Hall of Famer, former San Diego Chargers receiver, and also Texas Tech alum, Mr. Wayne Walker, in studio. Wayne, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, Central Texas?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we're here today. Like I said, plenty to talk about. We'll have Cedric Eichelhart, who called La Vega football on the radio all year long with us. He'll be in studio with us as well later today. We'll have Coach Galen Glenn, who joined the show last week in person, and he'll be calling in a little bit later. So make sure you guys tune in for that. We got a full show here today on Centex Prime Time. Well, to start this one off today, folks, I want to get right into it and talk about these matchups that we have coming up this weekend in the NFL slate. Full complement of games this weekend. It is NFL Wild Card Weekend. We'll get games on Saturday and Sunday and Monday. As a matter of fact, as I think the Rams and Vikings will close the game out at the end of this on Monday night, which is going to be one of the better games in this one. But I'm going to start over in the AFC, and I want to talk about the game we didn't get to talk about last time we were on here, and that's the Buffalo Bills versus the Denver Broncos. Now, Josh Allen has had an MVP-type season all year long. Is right there for MVP candidate. It's between him and Lamar, in my opinion. Some people throwing Saquon Barkley into that mix as well, and I'm sure we'll have a few different people that think that Lamar should be the MVP or Josh should be the MVP. But Josh Allen is in the playoffs. His team's got a 13-4 record. They're 8-0 at home. They're playing at home again, taking on the Denver Broncos. Now, it's going to be cold. We know if it's cold down here in Central Texas, it's probably just going to be a straight blizzard in Buffalo, like we see pretty much every year when they host a home game. Right now, the Bills are 8.5-point favorites over the Denver Broncos. Denver, a young team. Sean Payton's second year as the coach, the head coach in Denver. He's got his quarterback now, Bo Nix, who started off shaky at the beginning of the year, really turned it around towards the end of this year and played great. Threw 4 touchdowns in that last game, even though he's playing the Chiefs' backups in that game. They've got a great defense. They got they have the best corner. I don't think it's a probably. They have the best corner in the league with Pat Surtain, the second, out there as well. They've got a good pass rush. But I think it's just too much Buffalo in this game. I think Buffalo is just going to outman these guys. They got the best player on the field, and that's Josh Allen. Their offense has been explosive all year. Their defense has been up and down, but they'll be able to put up points, and it's going to be freezing. I don't think it's going to be a lot of points put up. I don't see this being a 30-24 game, a 35-31 game. I see this more like a 17-10 type of game because it's probably going to be a blizzard out there in Buffalo. Wayne, what's your first thoughts on this Buffalo and Denver matchup that's going to be on Saturday?
Well, like you say, I'm picking Buffalo for this game. Buffalo is one of the hardest places to go into and win. That's why no one in the AFC or the NFL wanted them to get that home field advantage. Because if you have to go up to Buffalo in January, that's the most difficult place to play on the planet. That's like going to play in Canada this time of year. So you don't want to go and play there. You don't want to go and play there. And with that being said, it won't be a lot of passes thrown. The wind will be whipping. It'll be inclement weather. And so you're going to have to rely on your running backs. You're going to have to rely on your quarterback. And I think that Buffalo gives Josh Allen gives them the best chance to win because then you got 2 guys that can possess the ball and can run the ball. And I think their ground game has been head above a lot of the teams in the NFL this year. So I see Buffalo going up to I see Buffalo winning this game at home and beating the Denver Broncos. Denver is good, but I just don't think they'll be able to pass the ball this weekend. They kind of rely on their defense, but when you have to prepare for Josh Allen and the rest of because they give you something else to prepare for. A lot of teams, when they scheme and when they game plan, they don't think about the quarterback. They leave that equation out. But when you got a guy that can run the ball from behind center, then that adds a different element to the whole offense. So,
yeah. I think, like you said, I mean, Buffalo, for all the reasons you just laid out, has the advantage in this one. Plus, they're playing back at home. They're 8-0 at home. They haven't lost a game all year at home. So Buffalo definitely has the advantage. Joining us in studio, like I said, the play-by-play man for La Vega football that you guys got to hear all year, and a frequent friend of the show, Mr. Cedric Eigerhart, is in the building with us as well. Ced, we were just talking about this first game on the NFL wildcard weekend slate, talking about Denver Broncos versus the Buffalo Bills. Man, what's your impression of this game going in this one? Buffalo at home right now, they're 8.5-point favorite in this game.
Yeah, as coming from a fanboy perspective, it looks like Buffalo is going to win this game. But I wanted to ask Wayne this because Wayne has been in NFL locker rooms.
Yeah,
he has a perspective that we haven't been privy to. Mm-hmm. So just Wayne, as someone who's been in NFL environments, how much of an impact does a new head coach have on the environment or a control of the narrative of the of a whole team? Because you've been in these locker rooms and had a coach walk in for the first day. How much of an impact does that really make?
Well, it makes a big impact, but the biggest impact is going to be on the players because Buffalo has been in this position for the last 3 or 4 years.
Exactly. Yeah, that's my point. Yeah.
You have those leaders that's been there, and so that's the biggest impact is going to come from them. You have a new season beginning. Everybody is 0-0. So what happened prior to now, it doesn't matter. So now you come in with the mindset of it's win or go home.
So can a coach with the magnitude of Sean Payton come in? What is it? Second season?
Second season, yeah.
Can a guy like Sean Payton, occupy this locker room and to have guys like buy in and, to say, hey, we're not where we used to be. We're not the Broncos that Russell Wilson led.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but this is so Sean Payton. He's gonna be relevant because he has a young team. So you have a young team that he hadn't been there to the playoffs with yet. But what they've done so far is they've been able to win, they've been able to sustain, they've been able to beat some great teams in the NFL. Okay, so now you come in, it's all about game planning. It's all about game planning, and it's all about execution. Yeah. You always put a lot on the coaches and say, well, they didn't have a great game plan. I don't know what they were thinking about, or they don't know how to adjust. But now all that stuff come into play. So coaching comes into play. Game adjustments come into play. Everything is on the table now. It's 3 phases of the game: offense, special teams, and it's defense.
Right.
So everybody got to be on par this week. But a guy like Sean Payton, you can rally your troops, but you can't go out and play for them.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it's all on the guys in that locker room, and as family, we're going to come together and say, hey, man, let's go do this. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just like in the army. A general can put you in the right places and tell you where to go, but he can't go out there and shoot for you and fight for you. Yeah. And that's the same thing in the NFL. You got to go out. It all hinges on the players and the execution and what they go out and do. So he can have an impact, but the ultimate decision and the ultimate outcome is going to come from the players.
And Jalen, I'm not trying to jump ahead of the gun.
Go ahead.
But aren't we going to talk about NFL coaching? Openings,
yeah.
right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So it's great to have somebody like Wayne here. Somebody who's actually, been in NFL locker rooms.
Yeah, and can tell us what it's like in there. What's it like to see these coaches coming in, and what it's like to have a coach not only that you believe in, but to have a coach that you don't believe in. Because we know that in NFL, as we can see, multiple coaches have been fired. I'm sure that the players got out on some of these coaches. We talk about the Cowboys, and we'll talk about them a little bit later, but at one point halfway through the season, it looked like some of his players were out on him, and then he was able to regain that trust, reprove himself within that locker room, and re-get that locker room back underneath his belt. But in this Buffalo and Denver game, I think we all agree Buffalo definitely has the cleared advantage in this one. And you brought the point up of coaching. This is Coach Sean Payton's only his second year. Sean McDermott has been winning 10-plus games for almost a decade now with Buffalo.
But if we're going to look at it from a purely coaching standpoint, Sean McDermott is a coach that's going to always get you here, but he can't get you past here.
Yeah.
And at some point, that has to be an issue. Okay, we'll be at the dance every year, and I'm gonna bring a dance, this pretty girl, to the same dance every year. But if she don't want to marry me, we're not taking it to the next level.
But you got to understand who in the dance.
I was about to say.
You got the prettiest girl in the league. I mean, in the ballroom at the dance, you got Kansas City, with Patrick Mahomes, and you got Joe Burrow. You got these guys, and now you talk about Lamar. So you got some pretty girls. They look a little better. Fine,
No, and I'm glad you said that, Wayne, because this is a question that I wanted to ask you as someone who's ran around in these circles, in these NFL circles, these locker rooms and things. So at what point does it become roster versus roster, or coach versus coach?
Well, that's called game adjustment. So when you talk about halftime and you see a team doing something that you wasn't prepared for, now it's time for the coach to go in and his staff to go in and make those adjustments, and then you come back out and you do something that can counter that, or you take advantage of something that they doing that you weren't prepared for. So that's when coaching comes into it, and then it comes into it with game management, clock management, when to kick a field goal, when to go for it on 4th down, and things of that nature. So coaching has a lot to do with it.
So what
you just think about last year, Dan Campbell in San Francisco.
Yeah.
You know, coaching had a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
You going for it on 4th and 3 and you're not getting it. Then that's a field goal. Then you go for it again, and then you don't take the field goal. So you take away 6 points, and you only lose by 1 or 2 points.
So is it always more about coaching than it is about talent? That's my question.
Talent is talent.
Talent is talent.
Yeah.
But then when you go wit against wit and you talk about the coaches, some coaches can out-coach another coach because of a decision. It's like clock management. The Chicago Bears lost probably 2 games because of clock management.
Oh, at least 2 games. Yeah.
So they get rid of their coach. So that's where coaching comes into play. The players can only go out and do what they want, but they don't make those ultimate decisions on, we're going to go for it on 4th down, or we're going to kick a field goal.
And not to hijack the show, Jalen.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
This is a point that I think applies to the Dallas Cowboys, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is a point that applies to the Dallas Cowboys over and over, and that's why they stay in the news, and they stay in the news about coaching. Mark McCarthy's been in the news about coaching for the last 2 to 3 years, whether is he going to come back, or should he have called a timeout, or why would they let Dak run up the middle with 10 seconds left and the time runs out on the clock?
Why would you start Trey Lance?
Exactly.
So this is the crucial times where coaching really comes into play. Now you can lose a game in the regular season and it really not come back to hunt you unless you don't make the playoffs. But when
you're talking about games don't mean anything.
Yeah. Now it's win or go home. You win, and you still in the tournament. You lose, you go home, and you go on vacation, man.
You out of there after that. It's a whole nother set of terms here once you get into this playoffs, and that's what makes it so much fun to be able to watch these games in the playoffs because there's so much at stake. And Buffalo and Denver are going to be that first one in there. I want to go to a second game, and this is one that applies to the coaching point you were just talking about, Sid, because these are 2 young coaches in the Houston Texans versus the Los Angeles Chargers. D'Amico Ryan's only his second year under the helms as head coach of the Houston Texans. Jim Harbaugh back in the NFL, and as soon as he comes back, does what he seemed like he left off doing, another 11-win season for Coach Harbaugh and this Los Angeles Chargers. Now this Chargers team is a little bit different than I guess you could say some of his old San Francisco teams, or even from the Chargers of the last 2 or 3 years, because they don't have a lot of offensive weapons, but what they have is a coach that's come in and implement his strategy, implemented his style. They're going to run the ball. We're going to limit the amount of times that Justin Herbert throws the ball, and we're going to play defense. We realize we got 2 of the better edge rushers in the league in Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. We realize we probably had the best safety in the league in Derwin James. We're going to let those guys make plays on the defensive end, and we're going to play ball control. On the other side, the Houston Texans, a lot of success last year, got to the division round. This year, injuries plus absolutely horrible offensive line play have come back to haunt the Texans and have caused C.J. Stroud to regress in his second year. Looking at this game going forward, obviously I'm a Texans fan. I'm going for the Texans in this game. I think they have a chance to win this one. Right now, the Chargers are the favorite. They're a 3-point favorite, even though Houston is playing at home. Said, I'll start with you, Texans versus Chargers. What you think about this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna defer to Wayne Walker here on this one.
You the only one that don't got a bias, man. He a Chargers fan. I'm a Texans fan.
Because here's the thing. I as a fanboy, okay.
You neutral in this.
Yeah.
No, I'm always.
But here's my thing, Wayne. I fully believe, okay, if coaching means anything in terms of being a difference between one matchup to the next, if coaching means anything, okay, then I'm going to say that you have to go with the Chargers because they have better coaching. They have people who are in charge of their roster to put their roster in places to succeed more than the Texans do. Just because it's just a new regime. So as a player, now, once again, listen. I'm not gonna act like I'm not gonna act like I know more football than Wayne Walker. Wayne Walker forgot more football than I ever played. You know what I'm saying? But as a player, the coach has an influence on what you do on the field during the game, correct?
Yeah, because there's some guys that'll run through a wall for some coaches, and there's some guys that just don't give a damn at all about this coach because they may dislike him and they may not like his routine or whatever, but they there to get that paycheck. They there, to be there or whatever. But, but I'm going for the Chargers even if they had Mike McCarthy at the helm. I mean, that's the team that paid me for 3 years.
So you're going?
I'm gonna go with the Chargers.
You're going roster? Are you going roster over coaching? Is that what I'm hearing?
No. I'm going love of my team. The team that paid.
Okay. That's why we asked you, man. We already know.
We asked you your opinion because
we already know where I'm going. We know what said. Where Wayne going.
But I'll take the Chargers anyway. I think the Texans have regressed as far as the offensive team, and that's what they were led by. And they had a defense that was decent enough to win them games, but they can't protect their quarterback.
So let me ask you a question. As someone who's been on a roster, starting on a roster, does it make a difference? Like when you're on a roster, on a starting roster, and then you look at, this is the team that we're coming up against. Our next game is against this other team with a roster. As someone on a roster, do you look at it as roster versus roster, or do you rely on coaching? And this is where coaching says...
This is where coaching comes into play because now you have to make some type of adjustment. They got 2 elite pass rushers, so what do? We're going to keep the fullback in and chip, or we're going to keep 2 tight ends in and chip? What are we going to do? Are we going to move the pocket? What are we going to do to make them adjustments to throw that pass rush off?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That's where coaching comes in, and that comes from the offensive coach, the offensive line coach. What adjustments do we need to make? Because we know we can't. We know we can't protect our passer. Right. We know if we play.
Yeah. We can't block Khalil Mack.
We can't block So what do we do? What do we need to do to offset that, to surprise them and show them something different? Do we need to move the pocket? What do we do? Do we need to bring a fullback in and chip Bosa? Or do we need to put 2 tight ends to his side and then put it back to the other side? What do we need to do? What kind of adjustments we need to make to prevent them from just having a field day on sacking our quarterback?
So as a skill player, that means that you understand that going into this game with premier pass rushers, we have to step our game up as skill players, right? Like I need to make sure that I'm more aware of the option routes. I need to make sure that I'm more aware of how to get open.
Well, you make those adjustments and say, hey, we know we can't go back and drop. We can't do a 7-man drop. I mean, a 7-step drop. We can't do a 5-step drop, but we got to get it out the ball. We got to get it out of his hands quickly. So we got to make those adjustments on offense to get the ball out of his hands quickly and short little sweet passes. So
do the Chargers have a puncher's chance of winning this game?
Yes,
I think they got this. I think this is an even matchup.
I'm thinking it's gonna come down to field goals.
Yeah.
But then I'm thinking there too, if the Texans if they can't protect the passer, I'm thinking it's gonna be a couple of turnovers, which will lead to a touchdown. Flipping the field. Flipping the field is what you want to do with your defense when you have 2 defensive teams. But the Chargers want to run the ball.
Sure.
And I think they have better skill positions at this because the Texans have a multitude of injuries. They nicked up at the wide receivers.
They dinged up.
They dinged up. So I'm thinking I'm giving the advantage to the Chargers because of that. Now, if the Texans had their guys, they had Stephon.
Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell.
And
lot of skill players hurt.
And then you have Schultz out there. Then hey, I'm good. I'm good. Then I'm still not gonna choose different, but I would, because I'm always gonna be a Charger fan, and I'm always going for the Chargers because, like I said, that's the team that paid me.
Sure.
That's the team that gave me an opportunity to be in the NFL and. Man, and that organization, I love.
So let me ask you a question. This is totally outside the box.
Okay.
Man, here comes Sid without.
He going.
I'm always here. Hey, I love it when Wayne is here because Wayne has been in places that I will never be in.
Yeah,
you know,
the league,
just, a part of an NFL locker room.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? But so let me say this: kickers.
Mm-hmm.
How does the locker room generally treat kickers? Because kickers are guys that you don't never pay attention to them until they gotta make
until they miss.
Let me tell you something about kickers. Kickers are probably the most loneliest people on the team. Because when you think about it, they only have to go to special teams meetings, okay? Mm-hmm. So when during the typical NFL season, you go in, you eat breakfast or go lift weights, you go get treatment, then you'll have a team meeting, then you'll have an offensive meeting, then you'll break down to just the receivers and the running backs, and then it's just the receivers. You go to a walk through, eat lunch. But then you'll have a special teams meeting, and that's the only meeting that he's in. So that's all he does all day. All day is in that special teams meeting. And then when you go on the field, the first session of practice may be punting or kicking or whatever, and that's all he has to do. But when you're on a team, if I'm a receiver, I have to run the defensive plays. I have to, if say if I'm playing the Chargers, I might have to go out here and be Tim Brown that day for our defense. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. Scout team.
With the practice roster and all of those guys. So and if you're a young guy, you go out there and do that.
Yeah.
So at the time I was with the Chargers, I was a young guy, so you had to do that. But yeah, the kickers is the loneliest guy on the team.
Yeah, but we're seeing that with the Texas Longhorns. We're going to talk about later, are potentially benching their kicker that missed those field goals against the Arizona State game.
That's the reason why I was bringing it up. This guy looks like he's 12. But, he may be the most important player on the field this weekend for the Longhorns.
Yeah, because we saw that against Arizona State, how that ended up getting out. And we're going to talk about the Longhorns in just a second. I got to get into a quick break because we got a guest coming on the show with us. Coach Galen Glenn, who was in the show with us last week, is going to call back in with us today and talk about a couple of these games with us. So stay tuned and stay locked in here on Centex Primetime. We'll be right back after this short break.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans.
We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
Hey guys, it's Rocky and Keisha, and at Prosperity Tax Service, we're all about convenience. We get it. Life is busy. Your time is valuable. That's why we've streamlined the entire process to be as hassle-free as possible.
No more sifting through piles of paperwork or spending hours at an office. With Prosperity Tax Service, you can handle your taxes from the comfort of your own home.
Your financial data is in safe hands with us through our secure and user-friendly customer portal at prosperitytax.com. It's your one-stop shop for all things tax-related. Log in anytime from anywhere, whether it's from your couch or on the go.
We are experienced tax professionals well-versed in handling a variety of tax situations. Receive genuine assistance and competitive pricing from real tax professionals who've seen it all.
We're marking 2 decades as a community-based enterprise here in Waco, Texas. So call us at 254-235-5662 or log on to www.prosperitytax.com. Thanks, guys.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. This is live from the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports Studios.
That's right, sports fans.
About to show these boys how we do it. You ready?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis, your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Prime Time. I am your host, Jalen Gillis, here on this Wednesday, halfway through the week. Like I said, hopefully everybody out there is staying warm today, as we're supposed to have a freeze coming in. But like I said in the first part of the hour, I'm not a weatherman, so I'm not going to try to predict anything. But definitely stay warm. Make sure the kids got the coats and all of that. Still here, joined in studio by Mr. Wayne Walker and also Said Eigerhart, and he's brought in all the questions here to start off the show here today. But we got a special guest calling in with us here today. We had him on last week on the show in studio, as a matter of fact, and I wanted to keep going with some of these conversations. So we got a coach from Hardin-Simmons, former Connolly Cadet quarterback, Coach Galen Glenn. Coach, what's going on?
How's it going, man? I'm glad to be back on with y'all.
Oh, no, for sure, man. It was definitely great having you on last time, man. And here with Said again, as he was here with you last week, and got Wayne Walker on here as well with us. And just want to talk about a couple of these games here, man, while you got a couple minutes. So,
no doubt, let's do it.
Yeah, for sure. We just got done talking about a few of the AFC games. There's one more AFC game in the NFL that I wanted to talk about, and Wild Card Weekend is this weekend, folks. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, as the Raiders and the Vikings will be playing on Monday Night Football. But one more in the AFC I wanted to talk about, and this one is about quarterbacks, and I'm glad that we got you on here as a former quarterback, man. And this is one is about Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson. It's the Steelers versus the Ravens. It's a former really great quarterback who's still playing good football in Russell Wilson, and a guy that's got a chance to three-peat as an MVP coming in Lamar Jackson. Baltimore playing at home. They've won the division, even though the Steelers had the lead for a majority of the season in that division. Baltimore snuck up on them, was able to steal that division back. They got the home field advantage. A 9.5-point favorite in this game, and I think that's kind of crazy because these Steelers-Raven games are always close. It doesn't seem to matter who's playing in them, whether it was Roethlisberger and Flacco and now Russell Wilson versus Lamar Jackson. I like the Ravens in this one. I think they're favored for a reason. Lamar's having an MVP-type season, definitely deserving of winning the MVP. They got a guy that just rushed for 1,900 yards in Derrick Henry. Their defense is starting to click. Wanted to get your opinion on how do you see this game playing out? Steelers-Ravens, and you know the Steelers have always kind of held Lamar Jackson's number. Only one victory against him in his career throughout his career.
Yeah, like you said, man, it's one of those rivalry type games where you can kind of throw everything that you done during the season, just throw it out the window because it honestly doesn't even matter. These teams, they have a rich history with each other, and they're going to be fired up to play. It's the playoffs, and like you said, the Ravens got the home field advantage, so I think that's a big deal that you want going into the playoffs. I'm favoring the Ravens, of course. I just think that they're playing really good football. And like we said last time I was on, I think they got the MVP of the NFL on their team, so that's always a good weapon to have going into the playoffs. But, I mean, the Steelers, they hang their hat on playing very good defense, and I think the Ravens play pretty good offense. So I think that'll be a pretty good matchup. But I think I'm going to roll with the Ravens on that one.
Yeah, I like the Ravens in this matchup too. Said, what you thinking, Ravens and Steelers?
I just had a question for Coach Gillis. People always talk about this rivalry thing. Us versus you, and we always get up when we play against you. Is that a real thing in terms of competition, or is that just something that fans just kind of latch onto?
No doubt. That is a very real thing. I'm speaking from experience and playing in those type of games and then coaching in it too, man. It's just a different type of energy when you get in those games, regardless of what the record was, of how good or bad you've been playing. I mean, this is this is the game that you circle on your calendar, and it's a different type of energy. I mean, even when you get out there in pregame and everything, leading up to the week in practice, getting out there in pregame, you're just fired up, man, and it's like a fresh breath of air getting out there on the field on these type of games. So it's a real deal thing.
Yeah, and this Ravens-Steelers rivalry, probably one of the last real rivalries, in my opinion, that's left in the league. We got Philly and Cowboys. Obviously, Sad is in here with his Philly cap on, so we got Philly and Cowboys. But you're talking about the most hard-nosed.
Always hate the boys. Yeah.
the most hard-nosed rivalry, really, to me, is the Steelers and Ravens. Wayne, what's your thoughts on this game, Pittsburgh and Baltimore in the playoffs?
Well, division rivals that play each other twice a year don't like each other, and like Mr. Glenn said, hey, everything's out the window. But home field advantage is everything in the playoffs. Man, when the Ravens are playing better than anybody in the whole NFL right now, and they have been for about the last couple of weeks. So you have to give them the advantage going in. But anything's possible in the playoffs, especially when you're playing Pittsburgh. The one thing that Lamar doesn't have, that Russell has that Lamar doesn't have, is a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, exactly.
So, man, he's a champion.
So Wayne, as a former player, and I just have to ask you this, because it looks like it's all set up for Lamar and the Ravens to just kind of plow their way into the Super Bowl. But you talk about going up against somebody who already has a Super Bowl ring in Russell Wilson. Does that really make a big difference? Like, in NFL terms?
Well, championship pedigree means that's a lot.
Okay.
That's a guy that's been there and done it.
Yeah.
Versus a guy that's trying to do it. You understand? So Lamar's track record in the playoffs hadn't been good.
No, it's been terrible.
History doesn't repeat itself for nothing.
So is there really a big difference between being there and trying to get there? Like, is that really a big thing, or I'm just saying?
Yeah, it is a big thing. I mean,
okay.
You have to think about this. Football is an ultimate team sport. Okay.
Sure.
So it could take one little thing to kind of throw you off. It can miss extra point. Mm-hmm. Something as simple as that can throw you off.
Miss holding the snap on the field goal. Cowboy fans. Yeah.
But I'm just saying that, Lamar is gonna have to prove himself. Russell has already got a ring.
Okay.
Okay. So man, you still have to go out there and play the game. We can say that Baltimore is the favorite, and I'm picking Baltimore to win. Baltimore's but the thing is, you still have to go play the game, and anything's possible.
Yeah. So I think we all agreeing here as far as Baltimore being the favorite, and they should be the favorite. Like Wayne just pointed out, nobody's really played better football than the Baltimore Ravens have played in the last couple of weeks. So that's the last game in the AFC. I want to go over to the NFC side, Coach Glenn, and get some of your opinion on some of these games. The first game on the slate, and I know Ced's going to have an opinion on this one, Green Bay versus the Philadelphia Eagles. This is actually a really good game. I was kind of surprised that, Philadelphia had such a great record all year, and it's like your reward is, well, here you go. You get Green Bay, an 11-win team, to start off your playoff run. They're playing against Jordan Love and the Packers. The Packers have been playing good football, but they've been dinged up. We just watched them lose their deep threat receiver in Christian Watson. Josh Jacobs has played phenomenal for this Green Bay Packers team all year long, over 1,300 yards. Jordan Love still a little bit banged up going into this game. But on the other side of that, Philly's a little bit banged up. A.J. Brown's a little bit nicked up. Devontae Smith's been nicked up all year long. Saquon is obviously going to be Saquon throughout this game. And then Jalen Hurts has been nicked up a little bit as well, too, missing the last couple of games. Coach Glenn, what's your opinion on this Philadelphia versus Green Bay game?
Yeah, I like this side of the bracket. The NFC side of the bracket is some very interesting games. And like you said, the Eagles, they've had a pretty solid year. And like you said, they get rewarded with playing a good team in Green Bay. So it's not going to be a cakewalk for them. And like you mentioned, I think they're both dealing with the same type of issues. Obviously, with these seasons getting longer, they keep adding games, man. Football is a collision sport, man. You're going to deal with people being nicked up and injured. So it's kind of unfortunate when your best playmakers are the ones and you need them to go when it's playoff time. But it's going to be an interesting game. I think it's honestly a toss-up. I'm probably, if I had to choose a side, I'm probably going to roll with the Eagles because I think they have a difference maker, especially which is what you need on the ground in the playoffs. You got to be able to run the ball. You got to be able to control the line of scrimmage. So I'm going to roll with the Eagles because I think they have that X factor in Saquon Barkley. But it's going to be a good game for sure.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great game, and I'm agreeing with you, Coach. They got 2-6, and if you got him on the field, man, you got a heck of an advantage over just about everybody else out there. We saw him being right there with a chance to be able to break the record, and I've always felt like Saquon was a Hall of Fame type back. Wayne, I'm going to let you go first, and then we'll let Seth take off and tell us why the Eagles are going to win in this game.
Well, I'm with Coach Glenn as well with this one, too. I think Philly they can get pressure with 4 guys on their defensive line. That's big in the playoffs. And then you have to be able to run the ball in inclement weather, which Philadelphia is an outdoor stadium. It's going to be ice on the field. It's going to be cold. And they have a dominant offensive line. The game is won in the trenches a lot of times, and I think this game is going to be won in the trenches. And I pick Philadelphia to be able to run the ball and be able to put pressure on Green Bay when they drop back and pass the ball, and they can kind of control the line of scrimmage as well. So I'm picking Philadelphia.
Yeah, and like you said, controlling the ball and stopping the run, because that's the part I forgot to mention was the stopping the run part. And Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. I mean, that's pretty much all you have to say as far as that Eagles defensive line and how they can stop the run. And then you got Nakobe Dean playing at a high level and Zach Bond playing at an all-pro type level. I mean, I'm interested to see how some of these all-pro teams are going to come out because he's played at a phenomenal level. Sid, go ahead and tell us about this Eagles team, man, and their matchup against the Packers.
Yeah, 2 names that you just recently came out of your mouth, Nakobe Dean, Zach Bond. The Philadelphia front 7 is totally intact right now, and they're fully engaged, and they are playing at a level that even us Philly fans didn't think that they can get to. So I'm just gonna say right now, total blowout. Philadelphia blows out Green Bay. Blowout. No, I'm serious. Blowout, because they're not gonna be able to do anything against our defense. They're just not. And so, yeah, I know everybody. Jordan Love last year against Dallas and blah blah blah. And yeah. He's not playing Dallas this year. He's playing Philly, okay, in the first round. It's not Dallas. So, blowout. Philadelphia blowout. And I said it here, and you could IG me on that.
Yeah, look.
So next week when we come back in and it's a 3-point, that's not a blowout, man. I'm telling you, everything is out the window.
Listen, I'll be here next week. I promise you, I'll be here next week. And if we come back next week and it's not a blowout, and when I mean a blowout, I'm talking about 3 score.
Come on.
3-score
It's the
win.
playoffs.
I'm talking about a 3-score win. Yeah, Coach Gillis, I said that.
Coach Glenn, yeah.
Coach Glenn, 3-score win. Okay, so I'll be back here next week.
Okay.
Hey, Coach Glenn, tell me this. One thing about that, if we sitting here talking about it, don't you think the coaches from Green Bay know about it too? Don't you think don't you think they're gonna try to do something to try to disrupt that?
But hold on.
Yeah,
Before you respond, Coach Glenn, as coaches, all you can do is prepare.
Yeah,
you can't play, you can't execute, correct?
Yeah, exactly. It's different, man. You can draw it up and you can try to scheme it up and everything, but dudes if they're balling, man, like you said, especially on the defensive side, if you can get pressure on the quarterback and just be real disruptive, man, that's hard to play against.
Yeah, and that's the best thing about this Philly team, man. It's that front 7, just like Seth pointed out, that front 7 can be a game changer.
Jalen, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think I've made a prediction here yet regarding Philly that hasn't come true.
Yeah,
since
you
I've been
called,
on the
called
show.
out Philly losing
We don't
to
want
Washington.
to validate
Yeah, look, I don't want to put any more fuel on the fire with said in these
We've
Eagles,
been hearing
man.
this all year.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have the hat on every time you came in, so we know what you was gonna say about Philly. That's why I let you go last, man. I teed you up. One more of these games I want to talk about, Coach, before we talk a little bit of college football. While we got you for a couple more minutes, this Minnesota and Rams game. Now, Minnesota has played phenomenal all year long. 14 wins, historical season for the Minnesota Vikings. And this team grew on me. Around week 5 or 6, I said, man, Minnesota's going to end up falling off. This is a fluke. And they proved me wrong. This Minnesota team is not a fluke. Coach Brian Flores, if there could be a comeback coach of the year, it would be Coach Brian Flores. He's done a phenomenal job on the defensive side of the ball for the Minnesota Vikings. Sam Darnold should be comeback player of the year in the way that he played. And saying all of that, I'm scared to pick this game, man. I like the Rams in this game. I think Matt Stafford playing at home, playing in the Dome. You got Kyron Williams healthy, Puka Nacua healthy. You got Cooper Kupp healthy. And they can get after the passer with guys like Jared Verse that they just drafted out of Florida State. And Wayne said this earlier in the week. I think that the Lions have kind of given out a slight blueprint on how to attack this Minnesota Vikings team. So what's your opinion on this game, man? This is only a 1-point difference on the spread, so even Vegas doesn't know where to pick this game at. Vikings and Rams.
Yeah, that's a pretty good spread right there, man. That's why I say I like this side of the bracket. These are going to be some tight games. Like we mentioned on the other side of the bracket, you got Matthew Stafford, who's a proven quarterback in the league. He's played in big games. He's been around for a very long time. He's not a quarterback that's going to get in a moment and not know what to do. He's very experienced. You can never go wrong with that in the playoffs. And like you said, he's got weapons in the backfield. He's got weapons to throw to. But on the other side of the sideline, on the other side of the field, man, I think everybody is shocked, honestly, about how well Sam Darnold is playing. And I think that's just a testament to being in the right system, being in the right place, environment, and allowing you to flourish into your full potential. I think he's doing exactly that with the Vikings. And they've been on a roll, and everybody knows what kind of weapons they have. So it's going to be a close one. I'm scared to pick this one too, but I might go with Minnesota on this one.
Yeah, it's not a bad pick. Minnesota's favored in this one, though. A slim margin, only 1 point, but they are favored in this game, even though they're playing on the road. Said, who you got in this one, man? Minnesota and Los Angeles.
Well, before I give my prediction, I just want to ask the coach. As a coach, from a coaching standpoint, does the Sam Darnold situation, does that not inform us as to how important it is to put a player in the right environment to where he can succeed? Because we saw him flame out with the Jets, flame out with Carolina, and then all of a sudden, same guy who came out of USC, who can make all the throws, same guy in a different system with Minnesota. Does this not inform us as football fans as to how important it is to coaching?
Oh, no doubt. Like you said, Sam Darnold's never lacked arm talent or the physical attributes to play quarterback. I just think that it's one of those positions that require a lot of confidence. And if you're in a place where you're not fully confident and able to play freely, and if you're playing, with 1,000 things going on in your mind, and how is the coaching, the fans, and everything just bearing down on you, that makes it very hard to play that position. And so, like you said, man, being in the right environment with some coaches, who are giving you a second chance, I guess you could say, at your career and everything, and it's easier to go out there and perform under those expectations. And it's a different feel. So, you said it, man. Being in the right place, in the right environment, especially at that position, it means the world.
Yeah, and just having your perspective as a coach, and then having Wayne here as a former NFL player.
Former Viking. I don't know if it's the same bias it was with the Chargers, but
but Wayne can talk about just being under a different regime, like having a coach come in and using you to the best ability to where you can be you, as opposed to trying to fit you into a square peg in a round hole.
Well, it's acceptance and belief. So you accepted me. He went to be a backup. Okay, so then when J.J. McCarthy get hurt, now you expect it. So now they accepted you and they signed you, so that's acceptance. But then the belief to say, hey, we're going to give you the reins. It's all on you. We don't want you to do too much, but it's a coach having belief. It's a team having belief in him, and then him going out there and executing and doing it. So, but like you say, that means a lot. So comfortability is a lot in the NFL. You have to be comfortable wherever you are, and they have to make you feel good wherever you are. If they don't have no belief in you from the beginning, then it's not going to work. Like the Jets, that's a hard place to go and play. New York is a hard place to go and play. No, it hadn't been anyone successful there in a long time.
Yeah.
You know,
Joe Namath?
yeah, exactly. You got to go back
Manning,
to the 60s. Yeah, Eli Manning on the Giants side,
Yeah, so it's a reason that, I mean, but confidence means a lot, and acceptability.
But what is that acceptability? Where does it come from? Like,
whereas it comes from the guys around you. It comes from the organization.
Okay.
So the organization welcomes you in, makes you feel good. They accept you. They don't care about what you did in the past. They only care about what you finna come and do here.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think that makes a huge point. And like I said, brought up, Sam Darnold looks night and day from the disaster it was in New York.
But I'm going to tell y'all about this game, though.
Go ahead.
So, Detroit gave the rest of the league the recipe for beating the Vikings.
Mm-hmm. Talking about in the way that they schemed them.
The way they came up and played bump and run.
Yeah.
They disrupted everything that Minnesota wanted to do because these guys couldn't even get off the bump. They couldn't get off the jam.
Speaking of, Aaron Glenn should be a head coach in the league.
Oh, for sure.
No doubt. And I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But they schemed them to the point that they wasn't running motion. So I'm expecting Minnesota to do some different things this week.
Yeah.
I'm expecting them to be in a little bunch. I'm expecting them to run motion. To have the guys off the line of scrimmage where they can't get bumped. But I'm telling you, Detroit gave everybody else the recipe for beating. I don't know if the Rams can go and cook it up like they did, because what they cooked up, man, it was tasty.
Yeah.
but I don't know if they'll be able to do it that way. But they gave everybody else the blueprint for beating these guys, because them guys couldn't get off the jam. They disrupted everything they wanted to do, and then they blitzed. They played cover zero. And for a receiver and for an offensive unit, that's the most disrespect you can pay an offensive unit.
Yeah.
To rush him and leave nothing in the middle of the field.
Because basically cover zero is saying, I got a corner that can cover you all the way down the field no matter what route you're running, right?
It's man on man. It's mano.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
And that's what they did to him.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam Darnold doesn't like people at his feet. You can tell. He got frustrated because he had pressure on him all day. And so once you start to pressure a quarterback, his confidence goes. He not stepping into those throws. He's throwing off his back feet. He doing all of that. But we'll see what happens. I'm picking if the Rams can go out and do what Detroit did, I'm picking the Rams.
Yeah, I like the Rams in this game, man, but this is the most toss-up game, and I'm so glad that they saved this for the Monday night game in this one, and that's what we'll get to see. Coach, before we let you go here, got to ask you just really quick, who you got in these two games, man? Penn State and Notre Dame on Thursday night, Texas versus Ohio State on Friday night. I'll let you start with Penn State, and then you can go to your Texas-Ohio State prediction.
Penn State and Notre Dame. I really like the way Notre Dame's playing right now. I think they're well coached with Coach Freeman over there.
Don't do that, Coach.
Yeah. But I saw the way Penn State, that defense is really nice. I'm probably going to have to go with Notre Dame on this one.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Notre Dame on this one just because I think I'm gonna roll with Riley Leonard. I think he's gonna get it done. And like I said, I like the way that they're coached and everything. So I'm gonna roll with that one. I think the only thing that's making me roll that way is because these games are neutral. These are neutral sites. Yeah. If it was actually came down to who had home field and they were playing at Penn State, I don't think it would be close. But I'm gonna roll with Notre Dame, and then on the other side with Texas and Ohio State, like we mentioned last week, that's gonna be another game, good game. It's gonna come down to playmakers because they can go player for player on both sides of the ball on both teams. They don't lack any talent at all. On that one, I think I'm gonna roll with Ohio State. I think they're gonna be able to weather the storm a little bit in this game a little bit better. I think they play probably a little bit more consistent, in my opinion, especially on offense. They have some talent, so I'm going to roll with Ohio State on that one.
Hey, I ain't mad at that. Those are both two really close games and going to be two good games. Hopefully we don't get no blowouts in either one of these games like some of the games in the earlier part of the bracket. But, Coach, I want to thank you for coming on here, man, calling in with us today. Once again, we're gonna be able to get a chance to do this again, man, and talk about these football games as we get further and further throughout the year. So appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank y'all. It's always good to talk about
Go Hardin Simmons.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Booyah.
Appreciate you, Coach. So that was Coach Galen Glenn, who is a coach at Hardin Simmons, former player at Hardin Simmons, a quarterback, and also former quarterback for the Conley Cadets here in Waco, Texas. Folks, we got to get into a break. When we come back, hour number 2 coming up here on the show. You're going to get our last opinions on this college football playoff bracket. We got to talk about this head coaching fiasco that's going on right now all over the league in the NFL, not just the Cowboys, but for a few different teams going on. We got to talk about some more hot topics, too, in sports. So stay tuned and stay locked in right here on Centex Primetime. We'll be right back after this short break.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all know.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans.
We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
Hey guys, it's Rocky and Keisha, and at Prosperity Tax Service, we're all about convenience. We get it. Life is busy. Your time is valuable. That's why we've streamlined the entire process to be as hassle-free as possible.
No more sifting through piles of paperwork or spending hours at an office. With Prosperity Tax Service, you can handle your taxes from the comfort of your own home.
Your financial data is in safe hands with us through our secure and user-friendly customer portal at prosperitytax.com. It's your 200-680. All things tax-related. Log in anytime from anywhere, whether it's from your couch or on the go.
We are experienced tax professionals, well-versed in handling a variety of tax situations. Receive genuine assistance and competitive pricing from real tax professionals who've seen it all.
We're marking 2 decades as a community-based enterprise here in Waco, Texas. So call us at 254-235-5662 or log on to www.prosperitytax.com. Thanks, guys.
It's the family feels for me. The banana pudding peach cobbler make you want to holler. For me, it's the candy yams, mac and cheese, beef tips, pork tips and rice, collard greens. It's the sweet potato pie, sweetie. Fried chicken you've been missing, the lemon sweet tea dressing on Sundays when you all dressed up. Chest pie, buttermilk, and pound cake. Cornbread with butter just dripping, always fresh baked. If you need Southern style, soul food, home cooked meals that you can feel. Chicken and dumplings, chicken pot pie, 719 South 11th Street. Sassy's, come on by.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021. NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
Holy Jesus. What is that?
It's time to get in the game.
You know what time it is.
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis.
To me, you are nothing.
Your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Well, start it up. Let's go.
Catch us Monday through Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Prime Time, hour number 2 here on the show today. I am your host, Jalen Gillis, as I'm here joined in studio by Mr. Wayne Walker, and also I've got Cedric Eigerhart in studio with me. Happy New Year's to everybody out there. We're halfway through this week on Wednesday. We got one more show tomorrow before we get into the weekend, and it's going to be a very, very fun weekend if you are a sports fan. We've got NFL Wildcard Weekend, which we just talked about in hour number 1. We've got the college football playoffs round 3 coming up tomorrow. Notre Dame versus Penn State. We've also got Texas versus Ohio State, and we'll talk some more about that in just a minute. I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us here today on Centex Primetime, whether you're listening on Centex Magic 94.5 or you're listening on Infinity Sports Radio Central Texas, and also our faithful watchers on Centex Sports Network TV on YouTube and on Facebook as well. I want to thank you guys for joining in with me. Well, we just got done wrapping up talking with Coach Galen Glenn, a coach out there at Hardin Simmons, and a former Conley Cadet quarterback as well. We talked about some of these games. Like I said, still got Wayne Walker and Cedric Eigerhart in studio with me. Want to get to some of these quick takes and some of these hot topics going around in the sports world right now. And this is one that all of you guys will like listening to because it is about the Dallas Cowboys. Well, your star player and Mr. Michael Parsons has gone out on his podcast once again. And seems like every week they're just alternating between Jerry Jones and Michael Parsons on who's going to try to make headlines this coming up week. We've seen Jerry Jones yesterday, and we talked about it on the show as I had Rocky on here. We talked about Jerry Jones and his statements and how he came out and said, I'll let Mike McCarthy go walk and see whatever else he can get out there. And just like I let Zeke do, which is just crazy because, you know, if you want the coach, you would just say we want the coach. You're not going to say, I'm going to let him go walk and see what's out there first and then come back crawling over here and see what you got. And then compare them to Zeke, which I think they're in two completely different places in their career. Zeke is at the end of his career. Mike McCarthy's a Super Bowl champion coach that just won 12 games in a row, 12 game seasons 3 years in a row. So they're in two different spots. But Michael Parsons comes out on his podcast yesterday, and he says next year the Dallas Cowboys will be holding up that trophy. They're going to win the Super Bowl, and no one is going to have anything left to say once the Cowboys are holding that trophy up in the air next season. I'm not sure if that's just clickbait or if he actually kind of believes this crazy stuff that comes out of his mouth. I'm not sure. I'm not a Cowboys fan, but I do have two eyes. The Cowboys are not winning the Super Bowl next year. Sorry to burst everyone's bubble going into next season. I know we're still at the end of this season, and I got to burst everybody's bubble going into next season. The Dallas Cowboys will not be the Super Bowl champions next year. That's not a hot take. That's not clickbait. I think that's just almost kind of obvious. And it's not an insult. It's just look at how many other good teams. Look at the Detroit Lions. Look what the Vikings are doing. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles right there in your division. What? Look at the Kansas City Chiefs in there. Look at Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. Look at Josh Allen in Buffalo. Just too many teams that are better than the Cowboys right now. Wayne, I'll let you go first. What do you think about Michael Parsons' comments?
They need to drug test him right now. I mean, seriously, man. Seriously. For him to make a statement like that, you're not even relevant in your own division.
Yep.
You still going to be looking up to Philadelphia and Washington next year.
Yep.
So you're not even going to make the playoffs, let alone talk about hoisting the trophy, but they need to drug test Michael Parsons. I mean, he just it's some of the things that he says that comes out of his mouth, man, that just really don't make any sense. Yeah. And I know, you have to believe like that as a player, though. I mean,
for sure.
Going into next season, everybody starts off, you start off in the beginning, and that's your belief. Everybody believes they're going to get to the Super Bowl. But at the same time, you still have to have some type of common sense. It's a lot of things that have to happen for you to get there.
Yeah.
But they need to take him off his podcast. Man,
that needs to be in the contract. He's coming up for a contract. I think that needs to be somewhere in the writing.
Right now, they need to give me your analysis right now, man. I don't know. But that's my take on it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna leave it alone after that.
Sid, what'd you think about Micah's comments, man?
Listen, Micah Parsons has always been outspoken.
For sure.
Okay. And a lot of the things that he said that has been presented to the public through the media have not been popular comments. Okay. So I'm like Wayne, drug testing. Because what he's saying is, and listen, now I will say this. Micah Parsons is the embodiment of the Dallas Cowboy fan base in the sense that he's delusional.
Right.
Okay? What he's talking about is not gonna happen. You have to have the injury bug run rampant through the whole NFC division, through the Detroit Lions, through the Minnesota Vikings, through the LA Rams, through the Green Bay Packers. You have to have the injury bug come up on these teams like it's never come up on them before in order for him to have any hopes of hoisting a trophy, whatever the NFC champions. Your roster is just not there.
Yeah.
Your roster's not there. And Wayne.
But it's good to have that belief. I mean,
but Wayne, but isn't there a difference between knowing, okay, listen, our roster.
But you have to be realistic.
That's what I'm saying.
You have to be real with yourself.
Yeah,
so.
be real with your roster.
Yeah.
I mean, your roster's not there.
No,
they don't. And that's my main point. I'm not saying it just to bash on the Cowboys fans on here. I know there's a lot of Cowboys fans listening with us. I'm not here to bash the Cowboys fans.
I wasn't to bash on the Cowboys fans.
Well, of course you are.
And at the same time, it's on his podcast, so he's trying to get views and likes.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I think it's
but is it really about clickbaits and likes and subscriptions?
But people want you to be realistic, though.
That's what I'm saying. But does he really believe? Like, is he really delusional enough to think? I think he's delusional enough to think.
Delusional. I'm with you. He's delusional.
Yeah.
Okay. And hey, you're supposed to have some.
That's why I say drug test that man now. I mean, really, seriously. Because for him to feel that way, you have to be realistic. You have to be realistic in your personal beliefs, in your team beliefs.
Yeah,
they don't have what it takes to get there.
The last that I was aware, Molly and MDMA and marijuana, cocaine, all these things were illegal. According to the NFL policy, test this man for some of that stuff.
Hey, I don't know. He might just be drinking the Kool-Aid that is playing for the Dallas Cowboys. That might just come along with it.
I mean, Rocky would know. I'm not going to say that. Rocky would know.
Rocky, we're going to give you the chance to respond. We're going to give you the chance to respond when you come back out here. Yeah, but
America's linebacker.
But my thing is, you're supposed to have that belief, and I understand that as a player, like you said, Wayne, but I didn't see Tom Brady come out and say, next year we're going to hold up the trophy. Even when he knew next year we're going to hold. I didn't see Patrick Mahomes come out and say, next year we're going to hold up the trophy.
Listen, the biggest problem, okay, and this is the reason why I am so happy to rail against Dallas Cowboy fans every single season, is because they are the most delusional. Outside of Notre Dame football fans, I think Dallas Cowboy fans are the most delusional fan base, because it's not like, well, we'll come back this year and be better. Their whole thing is, we're going to win it every year. And this is what makes them delusional. And with Micah Parsons being a Dallas Cowboy football player, it's not shocking to me that he would buy into that delusion. But it's not realistic. It's just
I think it's just not realistic. But That's why they play the game, folks, and we'll be able to see firsthand exactly what happens next year. But all offseason, every time that a bad move happens, you know they're going to bring this up. They're going to say, remember what Michael Parsons said? When they don't sign whoever they thought they were going to sign, everyone's going to say,
Jonathan Mingo.
Remember what? Yeah, when they trade the 5th-round pick for Jonathan Mingo. Yeah, so I'm going to get off the Cowboys, though, y'all. Don't click off on us. Don't change the station. Don't click off on us yet. We're going to get off the Cowboys. I want to go over to a little bit of talk about this NFL draft. We talked about it yesterday on the show as well. We talked about it a little bit on Monday, Wayne, when you were here. But Shador was on a show that he's got with his brother, another podcast, talking about the NFL draft order and how everything's shaking out. He said he's fine with the NFL draft order. Now, previous to that, we know Coach Prime has come out and said, you know, he's not going to play for every team. Or I'm going to make sure I can try to control that if I can control that. Shador came out in that game in the Alamo Bowl. He had the New York Giants cleats because the Giants at that time had the number 1 pick in the draft. Right now, they've fallen down to 3rd. Tennessee's picking at 1. Cleveland's picking at 2. Shador said he's fine with the draft order. He feel like wherever he's going to be grateful to go and play wherever he's going to play, which he's supposed to say in this. But yesterday we were talking about it, and I said I hope that Tennessee decides to pick Shador, and if they don't pick Shador, I hope that Cleveland doesn't decide to pick Shador because I just feel like Shador is too big of a star for that Cleveland market. He fits more of a Vegas market. He fits more of a New York Giants market. Not even thinking about football, just thinking about his brand at this point because we don't know what any of these teams are going to do. They're all picking in the top 5 for a reason. But looking at this draft order, he said he's fine with it. Tennessee's got number 1. Cleveland's got number 2. New York's got number 3. New England at 4. And Jacksonville at 5. Where do you see Shador falling into this? Because yesterday, Rocky, who you just brought up, had kind of a hot take. He said that he thinks Shador is going to fall all the way to 6 at the Las Vegas Raiders and is going to get past the Browns. He said if he gets to the Giants are not going to pick him. And I think, and we know that New England and Jacksonville both have quarterbacks. So we think he's going to fall all the way to 6. How do you see Shador falling in this draft, in this top 5?
It really depends on the combine process and how he goes out and works out for teams and those individual interviews that he goes through. But if he goes out and does what we're predicting him to do, he'll be the number 1 pick. I think he'll be in Tennessee, and that's what he's supposed to say.
Yeah,
I don't care where I'm going to go because that'll get him the most money.
But is Shador the kind of talent to where he has to go through that draft, pre-draft process?
Well, he's gonna have to do individual workouts regardless, and he's gonna have to do interviews.
Yeah,
he don't have to go to the combine and do anything. Just go there and just interview.
Yeah.
And then he'll have his own workout where he'll have his personal workout where everybody come in, all the scouts, he'll do it once or twice where they come in and he throw the ball.
That pro day stuff.
Yeah. He'll have his own pro day and that'll be it. But if he goes out and when you do that, you put yourself in the best predicament anyway. He's going to go out there and he's going to throw the ball and he's going to be successful. So he'll probably be that number 1 pick. And if he does, that's what he's supposed to say. That's where he'll get the most money.
The only reason why I asked that, Wayne, is because, I know you went through that process, and I know it's basically a meat market. It's basically what it is. But the only reason why I ask you that is because when you're at the very, very top of the list like that, in terms of, a blue chipper, getting ready to go into the league.
Number 1 pick.
You can.
You're a top pick. You don't have to do anything.
Right.
I mean, his daddy didn't run.
I was about to say. I remember his daddy. His daddy.
His daddy. We was in the same combine.
Yeah, his daddy told a story where he was at the combine and
he came with fur coats.
And he said the New York Giants came up to him and they said, "Hey, can you come over to our room and talk to us?" He was like, "What y'all picking?" And they said 8. He was like, "Oh, I'll be long gone before that. I ain't getting waste my time talking to y'all." But Shador is coming into this same process with that same profile, right?
Yeah. I mean,
similar profile.
And he has his dad to lean on, but you don't want to seem like you're a selfish player. So he's saying all the right things right now. And that's
but he's already said he's not going to be he's not going to be in Green Bay for the draft. He's already said that. He said I got other stuff going on. What do you have going on better than the next step in your future as an NFL player?
But that ain't going to determine where he's picked at. I mean, he could be in
Waco,
Tokyo, Japan. It ain't gonna matter. It's not gonna matter. But he's saying all the right things, and you have to do that. But right now, that's what you say. because you don't seem like you're an unselfish player. You're not grateful, and you know because this is the NFL. They got billions and billions. That's way beyond Shedeur.
Yeah.
So it's and the NFL is gonna carry on way after he's finished.
So
playing.
is there any way? Because this is my question. In the back of my mind, is there any way where we're looking at an Eli Manning situation, a John Elway situation, to where he's like, no, I'm not playing for y'all.
Well,
because in his NIL era, right? Now he's already making $3 million.
Yeah,
NIL.
he making money.
Yeah,
exactly.
He definitely
and
making
then
money.
you think about Eli. You guess who he had in his pocket?
Arch.
Yeah. He had Arch, and then he had his brother that was already successful. It was in the NFL.
But I'm saying, is this the same situation to where can he bucket?
He can if he wants to.
I don't think he will, though.
I don't think he will, but I think he got the right people. He got to. I mean, you just think about it. His dad is the perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
His dad has so many connections in the NFL and so many friends,
so much respect,
and so much respect that he can do it.
Yeah.
He say, man, this guy's already making almost $40 million a year as a college quarterback, so he don't have to do anything he don't want to do. Yeah. He's already selling. He's already made enough money that he can carry over, and he don't have to pay.
Man already drives a Rolls Royce.
Yeah, seriously.
He buying Lyman Maybachs.
Yeah.
I mean,
they bought their pops a house.
Exactly. So he don't have to do anything he don't want to do, but I think that it's the competitor in him. You know, and he wants to play football. That's the deal.
For sure.
So, I mean, he's saying the right things right now, but I'm sure that'll change if say, for instance, let me see, if Cleveland has the first pick and they want to pick him.
Yeah.
I think he'll kind of, he'll come out and he'll probably say somewhere, hey, man, I don't want
And I think I see that more of happening because Tennessee's got number one. If they decide they want to go with Cam, which neither one of those is a bad decision, Cam and Shedeur, kind of similar type of players. If Tennessee goes with him at number one, I think that's when Deion steps in and says, hey, we're not going to do the Cleveland thing. Go ahead and pick I don't think he wants Travis to go there either, but he'll rather throw Travis out there and say, hey, let's go ahead and pick Travis.
But I don't see Travis going to Cleveland anyway as a defense. They don't need that, but Travis is a good player.
Mm-hmm.
But I see Travis going probably about fourth.
New England at 4. That's what I'm thinking.
I'm kind of like you, Wayne. We know what the landscape is in terms of which teams are picking where right now for the most part. But I just don't think that. Me personally, okay, I just don't think that Shedeur Sanders is so high on everybody's list.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? Where he's a conventional number 1, number 2, number 3. I just don't think it's like that because you can make a case for taking a Cam Ward over Shedeur Sanders.
For sure.
No doubt.
But because the thing that Shedeur Sanders has shown outside of his arm talent is the fact that you can tackle me 50 times, 60 times a season, and I'll still get up. He's resilient.
Sure.
But because he's been sacked so many times, have we really seen how great he can actually be?
I don't think he's that Jaden Daniels type of prospect.
But what I'm saying is I don't think we know, Wayne, because he wasn't sacked. Jaden Daniels wasn't sacked nowhere near as many times as that.
No.
But maybe he is. But what I'm saying is I'm not willing to say that for sure.
I think the support system and the organization that he goes to is going to play a big part of him going where he needs to go, and his dad is going to get involved. If it's an organization that supports and develops its players and shows its players a lot of respect,
but I'm just saying, look at those top 5 teams.
Yeah, I know.
Is that organization there in any of those 5 teams? I would say no.
No, I wouldn't because Tennessee, I think, just fired their general manager.
Yeah, they did.
Mayonnaise man is quarterback.
Mr. Mayonnaise.
But that'll be a good guy to go and relieve because they don't have their quarterback of the future.
No, they don't.
Cleveland don't have their quarterback.
Well, the thing about
New York, is probably the place he want to go, because if you're talking about
it's a huge media market.
It's a huge. He's gonna go make tons of money there.
Yeah, for sure.
And you can do something. If you can do something in New York, man, you the king of it. You know what I'm saying?
And I think that's the kind of challenge that he's looking for. I think that's why he had the cleats. I think when he's looking at all these spots, he would want to go and be the guy to turn around the Giants organization.
I think the one thing about Shadir Sanders,
and then you have a receiver already in place.
Malik Davis, absolutely.
So
I think the one thing about Shadir Sanders, I think he wants to make a name for himself outside of his father's shadow. I think he definitely wants to do that, and New York is a place where you can do that. But at the same time, you don't want to fall into a football purgatory situation, which he would be if he was drafted by a Tennessee. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I see that too.
But I know he wants. Me, deep down in my heart, I think he wants to go to New York, and he wants to turn that organization around.
And he could.
I mean, and I think that's where he wants to be.
Yeah.
And then you think about New York, you got Dable, who's a guy that's gonna throw the ball
for sure,
plenty of times. So I mean, that's the right place for him to go.
Let me ask you this, Wayne. As a player, when you were a player, and when you were in a situation to where you were looking at, okay, well, where can I go next? Did the size of the media market make a difference? Like this? What played into your mindset?
Money. Money. Seriously, if you talking to me, at that point, I'm trying to make something out of myself. But the opportunity to play and to fit in that scheme of the offense and the money.
But number one was always money.
Well, the scheme, because I could have stayed when I went to Minnesota. I could have stayed in San Diego, and I could have took less money. But I knew I would have been a part of the organization for years, and I would have played and this, that, and other. But then Minnesota came, and I felt like, and then I could have played in Atlanta and Detroit because they had this running shoots and all of this type of stuff. So they were trying to sign me as well. But the one thing that's
back then they was on run and gun.
Run and shoot. So they figured me as a run and shoot receiver.
Yeah.
But and so I could have went to those places as well, but then they wasn't offering as much money. So I'm trying to go in somewhere where I can get the money and I can fit in. So it's a lot of things that come into play. So you know, and that's one of the things that came into play with me.
Yeah, so we're going to see the draft is in April, and it seems like it's far away, but time is ticking, and we see how quick that last year went by. We're going to look up, and it's going to be April. So
it's fixing to be February.
Yeah,
already.
that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. And these drafts, I'm interested to see what his top 5 draft order shake up. Does Cleveland trade out of that number 2 pick because of how many holes they have and because of the money that's already tied up in that quarterback room already? So it's a lot of interesting things going to happen. And now I want to talk a little bit about, while we're talking about the NFL, this coaching that's going on right now, and these coaches that have been fired recently. We've seen the stories, and we talked about it up here all week already. Gerard Mayo getting fired after 1 year in New England. Antonio Pierce getting fired in Vegas after just 1.5 seasons as the head coach, really, because last year he was an interim head coach up there. We're seeing the Jacksonville Jaguars moved on from Doug Peterson and outside of Jacksonville. Looking at some of these coaching vacancies, and then obviously Matt Eberflus was fired in the middle of the season in Chicago. Looking at some of these coaching vacancies and at some of these coaching candidates, who are you guys, in your guys' opinion, some of the better options? Obviously, we've seen the news of Mike McCarthy and the Bears. They have interest there. But now Jerry Jones has come in and he's blocked Mike McCarthy from talking to the Chicago Bears. So in all likelihood, unless Jerry Jones is going to start a reality TV show, in all likelihood, Mike McCarthy is coming back to the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
So that leaves the Bears or job open, and that takes McCarthy off of the board. But you look at some of these other coaches. Mike Vrabel is out there. You brought up Aaron Glenn, who I think is a great candidate for a coach. His counterpart on the offensive coordinator side, Ben Johnson, is everybody's number one hot target right now. Yeah, I'm starting to see Matt Nagy jumping back into people's minds now. Joe Brady and what he was able to do calling plays.
I just wanted to ask this to Wayne because, like I say, with Wayne being here, we have the opportunity to pick the brain of somebody who's been in these type of locker rooms. Mm-hmm. Why does it seem, Wayne, just in your opinion, why does it seem like that former players don't make great head coaches.
Man, these guys that do coach, they start off, man, from college on. They start off as grad assistant, and they go from school to school, so they attain so much knowledge to coach. And then if you get around the right one, and you take a little bit from every place that you've been and you make it into your own, then it makes you a successful coach. But it's the ability to communicate. You have to have that ability to communicate and have guys that believe in you to make you a good coach. But some players do make good coaches, but some
it's
don't.
just more than just being able to see the game.
It's more
right?
Playing doesn't equate to being able to be a good coach.
Okay. Because I always go back to NBA. I always go back to Isaiah Thomas. Terrible coach. Magic Johnson, horrible coach. Great players, great players, right?
But a lot of guys that are not great coaches have played the game.
Right.
Most of the time when you have an offense coordinator, they were a quarterback somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. Somewhere.
Yeah, because we just got off the line with
Coach Glenn. Yeah,
Coach Glenn. Great player and a great coach.
Yeah,
by all indications so far, a great coach.
Right. So he was a guy that played quarterback. So he's going to be an offense coordinator. He's going to be some type of offense.
Yeah.
So you take what you learned as a player. You take what you get as a coach from different guys coming in and being around different universities and colleges and this, that, and other. You make it your own. So you develop your style of play. Yeah. But it takes years to do that. And some guys are young and they do. So you just think about the tree that came from Sean McVay.
Okay.
Or that comes from what's the guy?
Shanahan, Mike Shanahan. He got all them guys.
Yeah.
That's all his tree.
Yeah. So these guys turn into offensive coordinators.
So I'm saying, so why doesn't it always translate, Wayne? Like what are some of these guys missing?
It's probably just the individual. And my guess, because like you said, it's good coaches it's great coaches that were players.
Yeah.
It's great coaches that weren't great players, like a Belichick or
for some people it translates, and for some people it doesn't. I'm just trying to see, why doesn't it always translate? Because they're coming from the same place.
I can't exactly tell you, but I can tell you this: those guys that wasn't great players, they coached a long time, and they have more experience than the guys that just come off the field. Because when you just come off the field, in like Gerard Mill, he was just a linebacker,
right?
Okay,
right.
Now you have to be a leader of men. You can be a leader of your linebacker group because you know what to do, but you have to be a leader of men, and you have to be a leader of. You can't just think about your defense. Yeah. You got to think about the guys on offense. You got to think about your kickers.
So now you got to figure a way to inspire everybody.
And then you got to put out a game plan. You got to put out a practice plan. You got to do everything. So you're in charge of the organization. You're the head of the household now.
Yeah. So it's a little bit different than
So I guess my question is, as you know,
I don't particularly have an answer.
No. Let me ask a question, because I know when you were at Texas Tech, you were the leader of the wide receiver room at one point in time.
No doubt.
Correct, right? Okay, so you knew what it takes to be a leader of that room. So what more do you have to do to translate that from being a leader of one room to being a leader of the whole room? This is what I'm saying. Like what's a step that needs to be taken?
Well, I was a leader, but then a lot of that came from the guy that was over me, which was, like I say, a receiver coach who coached the Cowboys. And, man, he taught me everything I knew about being a receiver. I played 2 years at Texas Tech and didn't know, and was all Southwest Conference freshman of the year and all Southwest Conference, but didn't know anything about being a receiver until this guy came in. And his name was Robert Ford. So he was a coach, and he's still coaching today. But this guy knew how to coach, and he played football as well. So he's a great receiver coach. He got 2 or 3 rings with the Cowboys.
Right.
Yeah.
So he knows how to coach. He knows how to be a leader of men. some people don't have those qualities.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
some people don't have those qualities. Those are just God-given qualities that you have that you can be a leader in men, and you can go out and you can talk to them and get them to do whatever you need. You can translate from the field to the office.
Yeah.
So it's just like so we're looking at it in the case of Gerard Mayo and Antonio Pierce. You could be a great player,
Yeah, and
but that don't mean you're going to be a great coach.
And these guys were good position. They were good.
They were awesome players.
They were awesome players, but then they put them over a position like Gerard Mayo was over the linebackers, or he was a defensive coordinator or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He was good at that because he controlled what he did. What he played, that's what he coached.
Right.
Antonio Pierce, the same thing. When you coach what you coach, that's a different thing. But when you don't know a lick about offense, you don't know nothing about offense, and then you have to be the leader of men.
So it's a whole different administrative thing that you're talking about,
then you
right?
have to talk to guys.
Yeah.
You know, that's a different thing.
Yeah, and you don't know what you don't know until you get put into that situation. So unfortunately, Antonio Pierce gets cut. Unfortunately, Gerard Mayo gets cut. Who are some of the guys in your estimation? Sid, I'll start with you. Who are some of those guys that you think are top candidates going into this coaching carousel?
Yeah, I haven't just heard Wayne say what he said. I don't even know if I want to be even candidates. But I like Aaron Glenn. I think Aaron Glenn has been doing what, as a defensive coordinator, he's been doing what he's doing what he's been doing at a high level for a long time, and I think he could translate. Vance Joseph, DC in Denver.
Yeah,
they've done an exceptional job. He's done an exceptional job. That unit has outplayed what I think their roster lets you think that that they can do. I think Vance Joseph is another guy. People talking about Ben Johnson. The OC in Detroit. But here's the thing, and Wayne made a great point. And I didn't think about it like this till Wayne just said that. It's one thing to be good at what you do because you know what you're doing. If I'm a all-pro DB, and I'm talking about Aaron Glenn. If I'm an all-pro DB and I've been all-pro for multiple years, I know how to play DB. I know how to motivate my defense to rally around me so where I can lead these dudes to where we're playing at a high level.
Yeah.
But now you're saying you're not just a DB coach. You're not a DB. You're the head coach. Now you got to talk to the offensive guys. You got to go in the other room.
And then you over all the coaches.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you got to understand that you over all the coaches. Everything that's playing, you got to think about travel and when we gonna travel. We're going on the West Coast. We play.
Oh, that's on you.
That's on you. So we're going to play Seattle and San Francisco back to back. So are we gonna stay on the West Coast for 2 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
Or we gonna do this? I mean, you make those decisions as head coaches. That's up to you.
Yeah.
And the practice schedule, and when it's gonna be curfew, what time we gonna practice, what time we gonna leave, what time we gonna do. You have a little help.
Yeah.
But that's ultimately comes down.
It's
to
a lot
you.
more than just the X's and O's.
It's just X's and O's. And then Aaron Glenn, when he first started coaching, he was horrible.
Yeah,
he was.
Yeah, he was.
But he
was.
took what he took. So he started as a DB coach, and but he kept getting opportunity after opportunity, and he kept getting better, and he kept everything he did. He took from one team, he took it to the other. Now you get an opportunity as a defense coordinator, and man, he just took what he's got. Yeah. He's applied it to make it his own. And he's doing it now.
Yeah,
so now he's one of the hot topics of being a head coach.
Yeah, I'm gonna make this thing Philly related because
here we go.
That's what I do. But for Nick Sirianni to lose OC and DC in the same year because they both went and took head coaching jobs, this shows you that he's developing coaches. He's not just about take care of your units. Take care of your responsibilities. He's also developing coaches. Mike Tomlin, same thing.
But who's the defense coordinator in Philly?
Right now? Former player.
Vic Fangio.
Yeah,
but Vic
super
Fangio
experienced.
is super experienced.
No, but listen, but where did Vic Fangio come from? Former head coach.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Exactly.
So what I'm saying is, I'm saying is, when you have a head coach who understands that people, if we win a lot of games, if we do well, people are going to come after my coordinators.
Right.
So I need to make sure that my coordinators are developed enough to where they can step out and get head coaching jobs.
And the thing about it is, these guys have learned so much from their first. Antonio Spence, he's learned so much. Gerard Mayo, they learned so much from this experience of being their coach.
Yeah, Gerard Mayo.
Next time that they're coaches, they'll be able to do something because they know how it goes. It's just like Vance Joseph. He was a head coach.
Yeah, he was.
But he's a great defense coordinator, but he was a terrible coach.
Yeah.
So he's going to get that opportunity. Cliff Kingsbury.
Terrible head coach.
Terrible head coach.
But look what he's going to do with Jaden Daniels in Washington.
Great
So
offensive coordinator.
He's going to get another opportunity.
Yeah, and then you have guys like Brian Flores.
Yeah.
Now I know he's suing the league, so he'll probably.
That's the only reason I didn't bring him up because I don't know where they stand with him.
He'll probably never get another head coaching offer, but he's ready.
He's ready.
But he learned a lot from that first experience.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And so then you've been around the Patriots. Well, you've been around the Patriots. Then you got your own shot in Miami, and now you in Minnesota, so you're under somebody else's tutelage. So now when you get that opportunity again, you take all that you got from all these different organizations and you make it your own.
Yeah, Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels, listen.
Man, Josh McDaniels needs to go.
Listen.
He don't need to be nobody's candidate.
Listen to me. As terrible as Josh McDaniels has been, I promise you, there's going to be a cycle. It may not be this year. It may be next year's cycle. Josh McDaniels is going to get another shot at a head coach. He is. Because that's how much the league reveres Bill Belichick and people that come from his tree. You see what I'm saying? And
his tree ain't worked nowhere.
But it ain't went nowhere. What's the guy with the pencil in the ear? Little rocket scientist was in Detroit.
You're talking about Matt Patricia.
Matt Patricia.
Terrible coach.
But everybody from that tree.
Joe Judge. Terrible
Joe
coach.
Judge. Everybody from that tree is going to get another come around. I promise you.
But I can see Aaron Glenn in Jacksonville. He'll be a good fit in Jacksonville. You got
do you want to put him in Jacksonville?
I do. They had a terrible defense.
Yeah.
But they got players on defense.
Yeah.
They got a ton of cap money that you can go out and you can spend. You got a quarterback that not as elite as you think, but he's good enough.
Yeah.
You got everything you want.
Well, you already done paid him.
But then I can see the other guy from Detroit,
Ben Johnson.
Him going to Chicago because you got a ton of weapons on offense. You got a ton of cap money. You got a good defense.
I think that's who wants him the most is the Chicago.
Now you talked about Chicago. Now I got to bring it around to these haters, these Cowboy fans. Mike McCarthy to Chicago is a hot topic right now.
I would interview him. It is. But he didn't even give him permission to interview him.
That's over with.
So that's over with.
Okay.
So now, with him not giving him permission, that means the Cowboys are going to bring him back as a coach.
Yeah.
Why?
Because if he didn't want him, he would have gave him permission and told him, hey, go.
Yeah.
His contract runs out at the end, what?
14th.
On 14th.
14th, yeah.
So he would have told him, go ahead and go. What's a week earlier?
Yeah.
You already did it, all your players interviews, and you did your
all the exit interviews and everything. And I want to ask you that as a player, when they do exit interviews, what is that process like?
It's like telling you where you stand with this team.
Yeah.
If we want to bring you back,
we're gonna bring you back or not gonna bring you back type stuff.
Not gonna bring you back. How was a year? Evaluation. Give me a true evaluation of yourself. How do you think you played this year?
When you had your exit interview with the Chargers your last year, when they was telling you we ain't gonna bring you back, what was that like?
They didn't tell me anything because I had got hurt.
Okay.
So they told me they wanted me, and then they put me on this. At the time, it was called Plan B free agent. So they could only protect so many players. But they told me they wanted me, and they told me because my contract was up, and they said we want to re-sign you.
Yeah.
We want to give you this.
Yeah.
And that you a part. They called me, but we want you here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was family, so they wanted me here. So they didn't even want me to talk to any other teams. And they say, well, we know teams gonna come at you right now. You know, this is what we want to give you to keep you here, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, I have an agent. So my agent was like, hey, man, now we're going to talk to other people.
Yeah, he already knew.
Yeah, we going to talk to other people.
Yeah.
You know, and then the first day of playing B free agency, it's 7 or 8 teams that's trying to sign me. So I can't, if you're a businessman, you got to talk to all the business, see who going to
to see where it's going to go. Yeah.
You're not going to say, well, I'm just going to stay with.
And I think that's what was going to happen with Mike McCarthy, and that's why the Cowboys decided, hey, let's cut that off before we even give him a chance. Because if you go to Chicago, Rocky brought this up yesterday, you go to Chicago and they offer you $15 million a year, $20 million a year. Now the Cowboys are going to have to match that if you want him as a coach.
Yeah.
But now if you cut that off,
gonna be the Cowboys
if you cut that off beforehand, all you're going to hear is, we got this $10 million for you, we got this $8 million for you.
But I see Cliff Kingsbury or Ben Johnson in Chicago.
I think they're definitely going the offensive way with that because you got a young quarterback.
But I can see Mike Vrabel going to
New England. I would say
Mike Vrabel to New England.
Mike Vrabel is probably the hottest or the best candidate for anybody's head coach right now.
Yeah, he's probably the best candidate that's out because he's got the experience. I've seen him back in the.
Rex Ryan is saying, there's no way I'm not gonna go back to the Jets.
They need somebody.
He's been saying that,
and they need somebody like Rex Ryan to get back into the Jets to lay some order around because it's between Aaron Rodgers and Woody Johnson. There's too many opinions going around on who gets to do what and who gets to say what at the New York Jets.
But he can bring some stability to that organization.
Yeah, exactly.
The only question,
he got the personality to deal with it.
For sure.
The only question that I want to pose is right now is, with all these names that we're talking about being up for all these open jobs, why do you think Bill Belichick settled on University of North Carolina?
I think and I'll let you go, Wayne. I think Bill Belichick just signed to North Carolina. This is just my opinion. I think he's just setting his son up. He brought in his son as a defensive coordinator.
And I think he'll be there 1 year.
Yeah.
And then next year he'll be back in the NFL because there's some teams that want to talk to him now. But
the man is almost 80. I mean, is he setting up future plans? The man is almost 80.
He's setting up his son for a future plan.
You think about the Raiders. Tom Brady is a part of that interview process.
Yeah. And then Tom Brady just said that he's going to take a bigger role. Yeah.
And so you just think about that. There's some teams that want to talk to him in the NFL, but Bill Belichick's one of them old guys. I committed, so I'm gonna stay.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do that with the Cleveland Browns and the Jets.
And the Jets, they
that's a long time ago. But right now, he's one of those guys.
But that wasn't just all his call either, though.
It was. There was other people pulling strings within that too. But
he got ran out.
I think he just signed to North Carolina to set his son up. He's got a buyout for $1 million after 1 year in his contract. Most coaches' buyouts is like 60, 70 million.
Right.
He got a $1 million buyout in his.
1 year and he'll be gone. I'm telling you, he'll be back.
His son's already the defensive coordinator. His son's probably going to take over his head coach.
The one thing that I can tell everybody without a doubt is a coach like Bill Belichick coming. Let's just say he'll be back. He'll be back in 26. Okay, Let's say that. Never going to coach the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh,
Because Jerry Jones will not allow a coach to usurp
he gonna have him a do boy whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why Jimmy Johnson was out of there.
Exactly. He's not gonna hire
all
Bill Belichick.
All these mediocre years of Jason Garrett, Chan Gailey, Wade Phillips. Yeah.
No, they're not gonna. And Bill wouldn't do that, or Jerry wouldn't do that. Neither party. We'll see with whoever Vegas hires. Will Bill Belichick be the head coach of the Vegas Raiders next year? If they hire,
and he's one of those guys that come and get because he's older. He'll come and get the organization straight, and then they'll probably do away with him. But because he don't have as many years, but he's a developer of coaches too.
Yeah.
You know,
that's absolutely
because he has a stern way, and then he knows how to get to his players, and he has that winning pedigree. That winning pedigree means so much because you're a winner.
So because of his pedigree, can you foresee Bill Belichick coming back 2026 with the LA Raiders as coach?
No, because
GM?
they're gonna have to coach. They're gonna have to find a coach now. So they're gonna have to get a contract in.
But you don't think they'll put like a lame duck coach in for a year waiting on Belichick?
They just did that, and they've been losing for the last 6 years.
Yeah. I think Tom wants some stability, and Tom also doesn't want to have to depend on Belichick again, so people can come in and say again.
You in a prime place. You in Las Vegas. So you want to win. You want to win, and when you talk about football, you've been losing for the last 6 or 7 years. Man, it ain't guys going out there putting it on the line for nothing. And it's the guys like Max Crosby that want to go. They want to play. They want to win, man. They got the best.
But why would you not, if you're Tom Brady, and this is just me spitballing, why would you not, if you're Tom Brady, why would you not say, okay, I'm gonna step up and do a front office thing with the organization because I'm already a part owner, but now I'm going to get more involved. I'm stepping away from the broadcast booth. Now I'm going to get more involved. Why would I not set up a scenario going forward to where I know me and Bill Belichick back in the day, magic? Why would I not want to try to recreate that
I don't think Brady wants to be back in Belichick's shadow.
His contract doesn't allow it anyway because he's doing the announcing thing. He already got paid over $100 million.
No. Tom Brady today has said he's stepping away from the booth. Whatever that contract was, whatever's on the table, he's leaving that alone. Well, he's
going to go all in with the Raiders.
All in with the front office.
As a front office guy.
Is that what he said?
He did. Yes, sir.
So if he does that, I still don't think he'll get Belichick in there just because I don't think he wants to be back in. I don't think he wants to be back in Bill Belichick's shadow. But that's going to make for very interesting topics because it's Brady and it's the Raiders. Yeah. So that's two giant parties.
A lot of things. Man, right now everything is kind of fresh. Mm-hmm. You'll see how everything will play out before April, before the combine.
Before the combine and the draft starts.
And like I say, as a former player, Wayne, you know that this is the type of year, the time of year where, it's all these speculations are going on and this and that.
There's so many rumors going on now. You don't know what's going on. A guy, Louis Riddick, he'd be a good guy for the Jets.
Yeah.
Louis came out the same year we came out too.
Okay, yeah.
But a good guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Knows his work, knows his business.
Yeah.
But are they going to hire him? So it's a lot of stuff coming out right now.
Yeah, it's that time of year.
It's just rumors, NFL rumors, and we'll see what happens, man.
And
a couple of months. And until this Super Bowl stuff plays out, probably about 2 weeks after the Super Bowl, we won't know a lot of this.
And we'll be right here on the show to be able to talk about some of these topics. Before we get off here, we only got a couple minutes left here on the show. Want to ask this about the Kansas City Chiefs because they're right here. We talked about all these teams in the playoffs. This is the only team with a chance to three-peat, something that's never been done in history. And I'll just go around with you guys real quick. Do we think the Chiefs can three-peat? Now, I've come out on record at the beginning of the season and said, hey, I don't think the Chiefs are going to come out here and they're going to three-peat. I think that somebody else is going to come out here and be able to change the scenario for them because of attrition, because of all these different things, because of player fatigue. But then the Kansas City Chiefs go out here and lose one game in the regular season, and it makes me look like an idiot for saying that at the beginning of the year. But I still think that a team like the Ravens could potentially beat them. A team like the Bills, because they have Josh Allen, could potentially beat them. And I think Philly, if they get to the Super Bowl, has got a good chance to be able to beat this team. But at the end of the day, they've done it 2 years in a row. They've been in the AFC Championship every single year. Kansas City has had Patrick Mahomes as a starter. Do you all see anybody knocking this team off their high horse, or is Kansas City going to be holding up this trophy again? Wayne, I'll start with you.
Let me tell you, the best head coach in the league, the best quarterback in the league, the best defense coordinator in the league, probably the best rush in, probably one of a Hall of Fame tight end.
Yeah.
No, and everything goes through Kansas City. Okay?
Everything.
So, man, I just don't see anybody beating the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And they just find ways to win. They not winning pretty. They winning ugly. They just winning. They just winning. So when you just find ways to win, winners find a way to win and losers find a way to lose all the time, man. And they just winners. Yeah. It's a reason why they won the last 2 Super Bowls. No Tyreek. They hadn't had a guy on offense that just really makes a difference on offense.
Yeah. Dynamic player.
Yeah. But it's the ultimate team, and these guys go out and find a way to win. So I'm still picking the Chiefs, and they are still Super Bowl champs until somebody defeats them.
2-time Super Bowl champ, back to back.
Right.
Super Bowl champ.
So that's my take on it.
Yeah.
And then they got this guy from Texas Tech, man.
I see. Here we go.
Man, guns up always. So man, I'm going for my boy.
Yeah.
Man, hey. I'm thinking the Chiefs can do it. It's gonna be tough, but I think they can.
I mean, 15-1 or 16-2. I think, or no, 15-2. I'm sorry, because they lost the last game with Carson Wentz starting, but
and I'm gonna say this. That's even if they play the Eagles.
Yeah. Even if they play the Eagles, said. Now I'll let you get in on this. Said, do you see Kansas City three-peating?
I was getting ready to say I agree with the WISD Hall of Famer all the way until he said that. No, because literally, Wayne made very valid points.
Yeah.
The Chiefs, they know how to win. And we've seen them win in a variety of ways. Doesn't matter. Close game, blowout, whatever. The Chiefs are going to find a way to win a game. Mm-hmm. And we've seen that. Not just this season, but, last season.
Yeah.
And the season before. So they know how to win games, and we've seen that. Now, here's the thing that I'm going to push back on is because they've been vulnerable this year.
They have been.
There were games that they probably could have lost. Starting with the very first game with Baltimore.
They should have
should have lost. Guy had a toe on the line. So here's my thing is they're vulnerable. And because they're vulnerable, that means if you're asking me, is it Kansas City versus the field? I'm taking the field.
Yeah.
Baltimore can get them. The Chargers could get them. Denver on a good day could get them. Eagles could get them. Buffalo could get them. Detroit could get them. So they're vulnerable, but they're so resilient. It's one of those deals to where I'm not going to call it until I actually see it.
Yeah. And right now, it's one of those things where they win 2 games and they're in the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
2 games.
Exactly.
Similar to New England all those years.
Yeah.
The whole season.
And if you already won 16 games, what's winning 2 more?
They well rested. They well rested. And like I say, they got a lot of things working for them. They got the best head coach in the league.
Yeah.
Got the best defense coordinator.
Yeah.
They got an experienced quarterback that's used to winning and that's won, 3 Super Bowl rings.
Yeah. 3.
So, hey man, they got a lot of good things.
This is the last thing that I'm going to say in opposition to that is there's a reason why there's never been one team that never win 3 Super Bowls in a row. It's so hard to do.
Yeah, it's very hard to do.
And that's hard to do.
And that was my whole point from the beginning of the year. I think it's just an extremely tall task to ask somebody to go that far in the playoffs that many years.
This is why when I talk to people about the history of the NFL, this is why the Buffalo Bills that went to 4 Super Bowls in a row.
One of the best teams all time.
They don't get their props. Because it's hard to get to 1 Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Wayne,
yeah.
right?
It's hard to get.
I mean, just to get to 1 Super Bowl.
Man. Some people get there and they'll never get back.
Never.
Dan Marino, right?
Yeah.
But then to go to 4 in a freaking row?
Yeah. I say that all the time as well.
That's a dominant team. Like that's one of the best teams in NFL history.
And some of it we seen just the ball just not going their way. Some of those it wasn't.
Wide left, wide right. Crazy stuff. But we were there.
Yeah.
We were there.
4 years in a row.
And I know everybody on this panel has played high school football. We know how hard it was just to get to the freaking playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay.
And think about that
and then to get to the playoffs, how hard was it to get to state?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And to do that in the league
it's layers, man. It's a step to everything you do, man. And you have to make sure you take the necessary steps. And some of them, you have to have a little luck. Along the way, you know.
Well. And we've seen that on Kansas City side many times.
But you can't be lucky 4 years in a row. You can't just like Kansas City. You can't be lucky 3 years in a row.
But just like I told you, I'm gonna tell y'all again. Winners find a way to win.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's true. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing from Kansas City. So it's a lot to look forward to, and it's coming up right here before we get off, folks. We're out of time here today. Want to get y'all's last quick take opinion on this. Notre Dame, Penn State, Ohio State, Texas. just say your winners because we out of time already on the show here. I'm going to go ahead. I said yesterday and Monday, I think I got Penn State in the first one. I think Penn State's offense will be just a little bit too much for Notre Dame to be able to catch up to. And I'd like Ohio State versus Texas in that game. Sorry for my Longhorn fans. Sorry to go against the grain. I'm rooting for Texas, but I think Ohio State just got too much for them. Wayne, what you got? Ohio State, Texas?
I have Penn State, and I have Ohio State.
Okay. Big Ten rematch.
Big Ten final.
Yeah, the Big Ten final coming.
That's what I see.
Said, who you got in these 2 games?
I agree with Wayne, and the only reason why I'm not going with Texas, one word, Sark.
Yeah, that is a great way to close that one out, because that is a very loaded statement, even though it's just one. Yeah. Y'all know how I say it like to do. He want to leave a little controversy out there today. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us today. Definitely had a good time on the show here today. Want to shout out Coach Glenn for jumping on here with us as well. Want to thank Wayne and Sarah for jumping on here as they do every week with me. We got one more show tomorrow, folks. Tomorrow is the start of the college football playoffs. Penn State versus Notre Dame. You still got a little bit of time to put your money down and get a couple picks in. Don't listen to what we're saying, because I don't want you guys calling up here and saying, well, you told me to pick this team. Hey, we're not held responsible. This is for entertainment purposes.
Send your social media to Jalen Gillis at IG.com.
Yeah. Those of y'all watching on YouTube, you see my at the bottom of the label on Instagram. Don't DM me and tell me I told you to pick here. This is all just for fun. But thanks, everybody, for tuning in with us. We'll be back on here tomorrow to talk some more about these games and talk some more about this NFL wildcard weekend as well. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Everybody have a great evening and stay warm.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7.